how to make transactions. In accounting, for to name transactions, we also use the name to post, to make an entry, or to record. So we will work with the double entry system, double entry accounting system. And let me remind you, that means that transaction is registered in the same sum in debit and in credit. We will use both of them. This is a system which is created more than 500 years ago in Italy, and this is wild world used, and we also learn it because it's really good system. So what does it mean? This means that we will have debit and always we will have credit in double entry system. And if you're talking about the transaction, debit always goes up first and then comes credit. And then we put the amount and we put the currency. Currency is important to put because states change currencies. And the companies also work with a lot of currencies, euros, dollars, and some other. So now we will soon start to do transactions. Maybe this will help for somebody. But I also will you give the traditional way how we explain how to use double entry and how to make the transactions. But as you know, we have the debit and the credit. And the first thing you can recall how look balance sheet. On the balance sheet on the left side, you have an asset or it's active, and or the on the right side you have the liabilities or passives. So if the value in the assets accounts increase, the assets accounts are the first and the second group from the chart of accounts. And let's say, for example, if we get the money is an asset, and if the value increase, that means in the transaction, in the debit side, we will put this account which starts with number 1 and 2. But if the value of the assets decrease, let's say they pay out money, that means in transaction, we will put this account on the credit side. With the liabilities, an equity is opposite. Why? Because they stand on the balance sheets on the passive side of on the liability side. And that's mean if liabilities increase in the transaction, this account we will put on the credit side. And if liabilities decrease, we will put on the debit side. So now let's continue. So, you know, we have the balance sheets, we have assets and liabilities. In assets, from the chart of account, we put account numbers or values from the account which start with a 1 and 2. In the liability part, we put 3, 4, and 5. And you already know that assets are equal liabilities. And also, if we put here, we before talked that we have the debit and the credit. So you can put on the balance sheet on the asset side, it's a debit side, and liabilities, this is a credit side. And also active must be equal to the passive. So always transaction will be in a such, let's say, sentence, debit, credit, amount, and the currency. So we start. If we have an active accounts are groups 1 and 2, and like active accounts act 7 groups accounts and 8.2. This is for transactions. That's mean if the value in the active account decrease, that's mean in the transaction this account we will put on the debit side. If the values in these accounts decrease in the transaction, we will put this account on the credit side. And about the passive accounts. Passive accounts are 3, 4, 5, and like passive accounts act 6 and 8.1. So again, debit and credit. If the values in the passive accounts increase, we will put in the credit side. Why so? Because liability stands on the balance sheet on the passive side, on the credit side, and there we will see do we have more liabilities or less. And if this account the value decrease, we will put in the transaction on the debit side. Now we will start with some examples and start to make transactions or record economic activities. We will start with a simple entry. Simple entry means that in the transaction we will use two account numbers. Simple entry means that in the transaction we will use two account numbers. When you see the economic activities, like it's written in the sentence, so first of all, try to find the words to whom you can attach some account numbers from the chart of account. Let's start with the first one. The salary paid from current account amount is 3,000 euro. Okay, first word is salary. This is calculated salary. That's mean if we didn't pay yet, we have the liability. It is a passive account. So for the passive account, if you look on the chart of accounts, you will see unpaid salary is in account 5610. Then the next account is we paid from the current account. Current account is a bank account. This is asset side. So current account is an account number 2620. So now we are thinking what happens. We need to understand what happens in this situation. We see that we paid out money. That means money decrease. I will add this plus and minuses just to get easier understand at the beginning. But later we don't use it because we have a debit and credit. So we paid out from the current account money. That means money decrease. And we cover our liability. That means liability also decrease. So now we know that transaction always consists of two parts. It's debit side and credit side. So you can use this hint if it's necessary, but try to think because the system is very logically built up. So let's start. The salary, we cover our liability. It's a passive account. And if in the passive accounts the value decrease, then in transaction, this account number we put on the debit side. That means here on the debit side we 5610. So the next one is account 2620. It's an active account. And if the value in the active account decrease, we will put this account on the credit side. And then the amount is 3,000 euro. So for the specialist who knows how work double entry system and who has the chart of account, this also give all information what is necessary. By this I mean that if we see the passive account is on the debit side, we read it, okay, this company cover liabilities for salary. How they cover? They paid out money from the bank account. How much? They paid out 3,000 euros to cover the liability for the salary. That's why we use a system, because we can tell it in a long sentences what we do, but this doesn't help to classify the information, to organize this all financial information. Thus, you can also tell that this is a coding system or a new language, but this is a way how we can sort all financial information in the easiest way, and then we can get a lot of reports in the different ways and to explain what happens in the company. So let's take another example. We have again the debtor. This is the first one. What does it mean? Before that, there's one step before. Let's say yesterday we sold the goods or provide a service, but our client didn't pay to us. That means yesterday he is our debtor from the yesterday, and he will pay today, tomorrow, or after tomorrow. That's because, and he is a debtor because he is keeping our money and we are waiting. Our asset is in the debtor's hand. So this account for the debtor is 2310, and the buyer has paid the invoice for 700 euros at the company's cash desk. Okay, cash desk, it's a money, and it's account 2610. Now again we understand what happens. So if the buyer debtor pay to us the money, that means he covers his debt to us. So that's decrease. And if we receive money in our cash desk, that means we receive, that means money increase. And now we again make the entry. Okay, so we have the debit side, the credit side, and amount. So let's start, always we start with the debit side. So we get money in, it's an active account. If the value in the active account increase, in the entry we will put in the debit side. So I know I'm telling that I get by cash money. Then the question is how I get this money. This time I get from the debtor. You see account 2310, yes, it's an inactive account, but if the value decrease, we will put on the credit side. So, and now how much I get from the buyer? I get 700 euros. Okay, and this is the easy way how we can tell everything what happens in the company.